In a very crowded Democratic field, there has only been one candidate to have gotten Russiagate correct. And that candidate would actually be Tulsi Gabbard. Now, although I have not made my pick yet for who I'm personally voting for or who I'm going to endorse, I do think it needs to be said that Tulsi Gabbard really separated herself here. Now, why do I say that? Well, the unfortunate truth is Bernie Sanders pushed the Russiagate conspiracy to no end and to the degree of even introducing legislation to address it. Do I know if he actually believes what he is saying and what he's pushing? I can't confidently say one way or the other, but I can tell you that even members on his staff, like Ro Khanna, took Rachel Maddow's side in pushing the Russiagate conspiracy. Obviously, we found out that this entire Russiagate conspiracy was just that. It was a conspiracy, but it wasn't a conspiracy concocted, or it was a conspiracy concocted, but it wasn't a conspiracy of collusion between Trump and Putin. It was a conspiracy concocted by former Obama officials in an attempt to save face because of a lost election and to demonize Russia because, well, the truth of the matter is intelligence agencies are pretty lazy. They don't come up with new ideas, and they've used the same old tired methods to deceive the American people over and over and over and over again. McCarthyist smear tactics, using the Fourth Estate as a propaganda arm to convince us that they're altruistic in their demand of a quote unquote accountability against Russian hacking. No, it's not. Elizabeth Warren, obviously, right? She hasn't been as fervent about it, but she pushed it. Beto O'Rourke, definitely. Kamala Harris, absolutely. And Joe Biden, 100%. 100%. But he hasn't announced yet. Why is it important? What does it demonstrate, right? What does it demonstrate that Tulsi, for some reason, with everything going on, with all the pressure mounted on her, was able to take a step back, get a bird's eye view of the situation and say, something isn't right here? It shows she's a leader, not a follower. It shows she does not only have the ability to be a presiding officer, right? The president, presiding officer, that's what she would be. But she also has the discernment to be a commander in chief who will not listen to the propaganda around her, who will not listen to warmongering advisors who are all in it to fill their own pockets via various kickbacks from defense contractors. She listened to her gut. She listened to the facts. And if there weren't facts, she just asked questions. I'm not really sure what more I want in the president, be honest with you. There is something to be said for someone who can go against the grain like this. I mean, when you're one of your closest allies, really, and a friend, is even spewing this Russiagate nonsense, and by the friend I mean Bernie Sanders, even your closest friend is on the wrong side of this issue. And you were able to take a step back and say, there's something wrong here. Because it's not only the fact that she took a step back, right? She took a step back and she called it like it was. Last week, she tweeted about the fact that what all Russiagate has done has forced Trump to take such drastic and extreme measures to prove that he isn't Putin's puppet. And it's led to disastrous policy moves like pulling out of the nuclear arms treaty with Russia. So she got the Democrats, the establishment media, and Trump in 280 characters. Isn't that awesome? But also, it isn't just that she's been speaking on, it isn't just that she's been speaking on it. It isn't just that she's been kind of like, it isn't just that she's gotten it right. But what was the reason why Russiagate was pushed on us? Do you all remember? Because I do. It was because Hillary had to take attention away from the rigging. Hillary had to take attention away from the fact she actually lost at the convention. And Hillary and the Democrats, of course, had to take attention away from the fact that they lost to the man who was supposedly the worst candidate in history, who had a 1% chance of winning, according to many polls leading up to the election. Because God forbid Democrats ever take blame for anything that they've done. So, understanding this, here's why Tulsi being right on the issue is all the more important, because she put her actions behind her words. Tulsi Gabbard was the only one to introduce election justice reform, substantive legislation. So not only did she not allow the Russiagate narrative to basically take her off track and railroad her from focusing on the issues she cares about, she said, nah, I know what you're doing, but we're not going to let this conversation just wither away into the wind just because the election is over. Election justice or election rigging and lack of election justice is a problem. It is a problem that needs to be addressed. We need to get rid of these corrupt voting machines. We need to reconcile the mistakes that gave us Donald Trump. And since you all won't do it because you're so busy spewing propaganda, I will be the one to do it. Now, Tulsi was an outsider when she introduced this legislation. Unfortunately, which is insane to me, this legislation did not get passed. Who did you, we covered it here, but who else talked about this legislation? What other progressives pushed this legislation? Who else discussed the importance of election justice reform? Don't worry, I'll wait. It wasn't anyone else. None of our progressive champions stood up to speak up for her. Once again, now, she was right. Once again, election justice must be a priority. And even though she knew that there was a low chance of people jumping in, because why? Because lobbyists run Congress and other people were worried about their careers. But she did it anyway, because it was the principle of it all. It's the acknowledgement that these problems in our electoral system exist. Once again separating herself as a leader rather than a follower. And once again exemplifying that she not only has the capacity to be a competent and successful commander-in-chief, but also on the other side of the domestic, on the other side of that coin, on the domestic side, a good presiding officer. In other words, a good president. I mean, I don't really understand how people can just relegate her as the de facto VP when you're this far ahead of the game and you're always right. For the last 3 years, I should say. When it comes to the major stories, when it comes to the major issues, Tulsi's right on Medicare for all. She's right on election justice reform. She was right on Russiagate and the lingering effects of Russiagate that we will now be dealing with for years to come because of propaganda. And her words or her actions were backed up by her words, because what did she tell us in that opening speech that so many people, Tulsi's campaign speech was crazy. It was good. It's really good. What did she tell us? She said we can't allow our corrupt intelligence agencies to propagandize us anymore. We know what they've done. We know what they're guilty of. And we can't, in the same breath, trust their word knowing what we know about their history. Tulsi backs these words up with action. with her advocacy, with her tweets, with her town halls. How can I, like, in other words, how could she say she doesn't trust the intelligence agencies and then simultaneously push Russiagate? She knows she knows she stands by her convictions. No, I'm not going to push Russiagate because I know I stand by what I said about the corrupt intelligence agencies. No, I'm not going to ignore election justice reform because I know that Russiagate was used to distract us from what happened during the primary and during the election. Because once again, yes, Republicans cheated 100%, usually via gerrymandering and interstate cross-check, but Democrats are no better. They cheated too. It's just the Republicans are better at it. Democrats are great at cheating primary processes, but they're not as good at cheating general elections as the Republicans. I'm sorry, it was the facts. But overall, she understands that election justice is a nonpartisan issue. Once again, she understood that the intel agencies were using Russia to distract. Of course, they had other reasons to use Russia as well. But so everything she's talked to us about, like kind of guiding us through her evolution and her knowledge that she's gained over the last 3 to 4 years, everything she's talked to us about her beliefs have been directly reflected in her policies, and in my opinion, is emblematic of the leadership that she would display as president. That's really, the pressure, the smears, the attacks, the lies. The same reason I'm making this video is the very same reason that all these attacks and smears and lies have been lobbed at Tulsi Gabbard. And it's because, God damn it, she doesn't ever take the bait. That's why they're frustrated with her. Take the Russiagate bait. No. Take the Syria bait. No. Fine. We'll bait you with Venezuela. No. We'll bait you with Israel. Hell no. She's been strongly critical of all of the intel that has come out about every one of those situations. And it's been beautiful to watch. But now we have to keep that in mind when we're seeing any smear come out against Tulsi Gabbard. I don't want a leader who can just, okay, thank you, advisors. I appreciate it because I couldn't think for myself. No, I want a leader who's going to practice scrutiny no matter who's giving her the information and decide, you know what? I heard both sides, so now I'm going to research for myself. I'm going to use my experiences and I'm going to utilize the experiences of others. And then I'm going to make a decision based off of what I think is best. And when you've been right more often than not, I think that's the right way to go. So being that Tulsi has been the only our only presidential candidate that has gotten Russiagate right, I believe that gives her a huge notch and a big thumbs up from progressive circles. And it is something that people should consider for all the reasons that I laid out here. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you understand how important this is, because it isn't just about Russiagate, it's about everything. It's all encompassing. It's about everything we talked about. But hey, remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.
Thanks for watching that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Don't forget to join us on Roku and catch our Roku exclusives. Also, help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and JustNForm.com. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.